My dear friends, welcome back. Tonight I want to share a story inspired by the Persian philosopher and poet Nasir Khusraw Gobadiani, a man who lived nearly 1,000 years ago, yet understood something about power and pride that feels strikingly modern. This is a story about a king and an eagle. There once was a king who believed the horizon belonged to him. His empire stretched as far as the sun could travel in a single day. At dawn, the eastern mountains glowed in his name. At dusk, the western deserts darkened beneath his shadow, and he believed that shadow was sacred. He often said, "I am chosen. Even destiny answers to my command." One bright spring morning, he rode out to hunt. A powerful stallion carried him across the open plain, its hooves striking the earth like distant thunder. Soldiers followed in a cloud of dust and steel. The air smelled of wild grass and ambition. Suddenly, a deer burst from the rocks, swift and graceful, alive in the way only wild creatures can be. The king straightened in his saddle. "Watch closely," he called, his voice edged with pride. "Even the wind must learn who rules this land." He drew his bow. The arrow flew. The deer fell. By noon, a fire blazed against the mountainside. The king sat upon a smooth stone, goblet in hand, the taste of victory still warm upon his tongue. His men laughed. Meat roasted. The day felt invincible. And then a shadow passed overhead. The laughter faded. High above them, circling in wide and effortless arcs, was an eagle. Magnificent, untouchable. Its wings spread wide, as though the sky itself had chosen a shape. It did not hurry. It did not struggle. It simply owned the air. The king narrowed his eyes and smiled. "Look at it," he said. "That is power. High above all others, beyond reach. That is what my kingdom is." One minister, smooth and eager, a man whose survival depended on praise, stepped forward. "Your Majesty," he said with a deep bow, "that eagle is but a reflection of you. Even the stars orbit your greatness. The people sleep peacefully because your strength terrifies their enemies." The king's smile widened. But another minister stood nearby, older, quiet, his beard silver with years of service. He said nothing. The king noticed. "And you?" the king asked, irritation touching his tone. "Have you lost your voice? Or do you see something the rest of us cannot?" The old minister bowed gently. "Your Majesty," he said, "it is difficult to rise high, but it is even more difficult to remain there. The eagle is beautiful in flight, yet if it begins to admire its own shadow upon the ground, it forgets something." The king's jaw tightened. "And what does it forget?" "That its shadow exists only because it is still connected to the earth." The flattering minister scoffed. "Old men fear heights. Our king is no fragile bird. No arrow could ever reach him." The king stood abruptly, stirred by pride and wine. "No arrow?" he repeated. He seized his bow once more. "Let us test that." He pulled the string back with all his strength and aimed at the circling eagle. The arrow shot upward, slicing through the blue sky. Higher, higher. Then it trembled. It lost its strength and fell harmlessly among the rocks below. A murmur passed through the soldiers. The king forced a laugh. "You see, even my arrow cannot reach such heights. From this day forward, the eagle shall be our symbol, untouchable, supreme." The old minister lowered his eyes. "Pride," he murmured softly, "does its work from within." Before the king could reply, a shout rang out. All eyes lifted. The eagle, sovereign of the sky, faltered. Its wing jerked. Its perfect circle broke. For a brief moment it fought the air. Then gravity claimed it. It fell. Not gracefully, not proudly. It struck the rocks with a heavy, final sound. Silence settled across the mountainside. The soldiers ran and returned, carrying the great bird. Its chest moved faintly. Its fierce eyes, once rulers of the horizon, were dim. The king stared, stunned. "How?" he demanded. "Who has done this?" The old minister knelt beside the eagle and gently withdrew an arrow from its breast. He examined it, then lifted it for the king to see. At the end of the shaft were feathers, large, strong, eagle feathers. "Your Majesty," he said quietly, "no arrow flies true without guidance. The hunter used the eagle's own feather to steady his aim." The king said nothing. "The bird was not brought down by strength alone," the minister continued. "It was brought down by something that once belonged to itself." He let the words rest in the air. When we grow too proud of our gifts, our power, our intelligence, our position, we forget that these same gifts can be turned against us. The higher we rise without humility, the sharper we make the arrows aimed our way. The king looked at the fallen creature. Its blood darkened the stones. The minister's voice grew firmer. "A ruler who separates himself from his people is like an eagle who forgets the ground beneath him. Justice is the only armor that endures, and the people, they are the wings. Burn the wings, and no throne can keep you in the sky." Behind them, the fire crackled. The feast was forgotten. And somewhere in that vast open sky, the king felt something unfamiliar. Not fear of enemies, but fear of himself. My friends, this is not merely a story about a king. It is about us. Whether we lead a nation, a company, a family, or only our own small corner of the world. The moment I becomes greater than we, the arrow is already being carved. We are never as untouchable as we imagine. No matter how high we rise in wealth, success, or influence, we remain creatures of the same earth. And none of us, not even with the strongest wings, can live without the ground beneath our feet. Thank you for listening to Persian Stories. We invite you to follow the channel and join us again for another story and another journey.